Hi everyone, Jen here with a voiceover today. I'm creating a journal, a notebook journal or whatever kind of journal you want it to be. So I've just taken a piece of black cardstock cut down to 11 inches by 8 inches and I'm just marking the center of the cardstock there using my Timmy centering ruler and just piercing a hole in the center section of that piece of cardstock. And now I'm scoring it. Now I'll give you the measurements that I've used. It's 5 1/4 inches, 5 3/8, 5 1/2, 5 5/8, and 5 3/4. So basically it's just 1/8 inch increments between them, starting from the center. So there's 2 score lines to the left of the center and 2 to the right and 1 in the center. So now I'm just coming in 3/8 of an inch from the edges, the long edges, and piercing a hole on the score line that's next to the center line on both sides. So they're going to be the holes that the elastic cording goes through. Now I'm taking my crocodile to punch the holes and I'm using the 3/16 inch hole. So doing that on both edges, and I couldn't see the little prick holes there, so I just put a piece of white cardstock behind it, and that helped me. And now doing this center one, I had to take my big bite for this hole, so that's done. And now these pieces of paper are watercolor paper that I'd used oxide distress inks and magicals. And so I'm just cutting them up in varying widths and lengths, mainly just rectangle shapes though. And these are going to be adhered to another piece of cardstock. Now I saw this done by Janet, who is Janet M. Young here on YouTube. And I just thought the effect was amazing. So I asked Janet whether I could show it on my YouTube channel, and I'll put the link in the description below and up here in the video in the iCard section. So what I've done there is cut a piece of cardstock down to 5 inches by 7 3/4 inches. And now I'm going to adhere these coloured pieces of watercolour paper onto the cardstock. And I'm leaving just about a 1/16 of an inch. It doesn't matter. You can use whatever distance between the pieces that you want, that you think looks good for you. So I'm just adhering them down with gel medium and just where I feel like I want to place them. And I'm using the gel medium because it's a heavy paper, so I think gel medium works best to adhere these pieces onto it. And you can put the gel medium underneath and on top, and it strengthens the finished piece of cardstock. So that's what I'm doing there. And I end up having to cut some of them down just to fit into the little areas. And it doesn't have to be exact. And you can start seeing the effectiveness of it now, especially those colours, the greens and blues against the black background. You can see there now I'm cutting down other pieces down to sizes that it's going to fit. It's a great way to use up all your bits and pieces of paper too. You don't have to use watercolor paper. You can use scrapbooking paper, whatever paper you want. So there's one of them done. I did another one for the back. Now here I've just taken a roll of Tyvek, and I think it's 4 inches wide, and I've cut it probably about, I wrote that down, and do you think I can find it? Tyvek. Don't know. It's probably about 17 inches long. So I've removed the tape backing from it and then adhered it to one side of the cardstock, and now I had to pierce a hole, or you can pierce the hole or you can use your crocodile to punch the holes, because if you didn't do it before we adhered the other ends down, you wouldn't have been able to see where the holes were. Just reinforces the cardstock. The Tyvek, you can't rip it, but it can be cut. You see the crocodile there wasn't punching it all out. And you can get Tyvek from any post office. They sell envelopes, but you can also get them in varying colours. Now here I'm applying that piece I just covered with the watercolour paper. I'm adhering it to the front with gel medium. And it's important when you do adhere it down like that to apply some of the gel medium on top and just work it with your fingers. You're going to need to apply some over where you're working your fingers to make sure that all that cardstock is adhered to the covered cardstock cover. So I'm still working it there, just making sure that all those edges at least are attached to the cardstock cover. And I did the same to the back of the journal cover. Just really love the effect that that gives, the placement of those coloured pieces of paper. Alright, now I'll show you what I did to colour the pieces there that I chopped up. So at first I took some distress oxides, and I used peel paint, cracked pistachio and frayed burlap, and then just wiped them on my non-stick craft mat, sprayed it with some water, and then smack and dragged the piece of watercolour paper onto the mat, and that's what it turns out like. Nice quick background. And then I've used some flat magicals in the Hawaiian Island set. I'm using the Aloha Avocado and the Ocean Breeze Blue. They're such pretty colours. And I'm using a stipple brush to just lightly tap over some of those magicals onto the cardstock. They go a long way. So now I'm going to activate them by spraying them with water. Just moving all the colours around. I've just taken a scrap piece of watercolour paper there and blotting it off, the excess water off that big sheet. And then need to dry that completely before you then cut it up into your strips that you want. But with this one, I decided that I'd use this sheet for the inside covers of the journal cover, just to cover those. So I'm cutting these down to 5 inches by 7 3/4 inches. The same size as the black cardstock that we adhered the other rectangles to. It leaves about 1/8 of an inch border around the cover. I'll try to put a document together with all the measurements and products and that I've used and link it in the description below. Again, doing the same, adhering it in the same way. Just putting some gel medium on the back of it and on the inside of the journal cover. Whenever I'm adhering anything down with matte medium or gel medium, I always adhere both surfaces. And there I've put it on the top of that coloured paper as well and working it in to make sure that all the area of those pieces are adhered to the cover. Paying particular attention to the edges. Alright, now here's another way in which you can cover your journal covers. So I saw a lady on YouTube using this method and I thought it was brilliant. And I'll put a link to her YouTube video up here and in the description below. Now you'll just see me, I just put some gel medium, just a little bit, on my index finger and thumb and then grab the napkin to spread, just to break those two layers up. That's a lot easier. So there, I just took some plain old white cardstock. I then laid a layer of cling wrap, plastic wrap, and then I just put a big sheet of copy paper over the top of that. So we've got the plastic sandwiched between a piece of copy paper and a piece of cardstock. And what I'm doing here is I'm ironing it with a dry iron over all the area and paying particular attention to the edges. So in effect, this will stick. It'll melt the plastic and it will adhere the napkin to the cardstock. Brilliant. So I'm pressing down firmly on the iron, on the dry iron, if I didn't mention that before. Has to be a dry iron. And here we go now. I think I'm done. Yeah, it's amazing. It really works. It's brilliant. If you've got a gorgeous napkin design, here's a perfect way of using it. Brilliant. I probably could have picked a better design. The butterflies are upside down. And now I put a layer of gel medium over the top of that. I probably could have used matte medium, you know, a fluid medium over it. But as I had the gel medium out, I thought I'd just use that. So here I'm just trimming it down and I'm cutting it into two pieces of 7 3/4 inches by 5 inches. And now I'm just going to adhere those directly to another journal cover that I'd pre-done. Again using gel medium. And voila. How cool is that? Okay, now with the one I made previously, I'm just taking some elastic cording and threading it through the inside first. So inside to out, outside to in. That was for the top. And then outside to, no, inside to out and outside to in. And then doing is it a double knot or a dead knot? I can never remember. To tie those two ends together. And then chopping off the excess. Okay. And that's it, done. Oh, no, it's not. I want to put the closure um, elastic through now. So I've just cut that first piece I cut at 17 inches, and then this piece for the closure I cut at 11 inches. I'm just tying the ends together, and now I'm attaching I don't know what they're called, sorry, but it is like a jewelry piece closure, and I'm just tying the elastic to that. There's a loop on one end, in the middle, and it prevents this piece of elastic cord slipping through the hole. You could use something else. You could probably tape it down if you wanted to. I thought this was a pretty cool way of doing it. So then I just threaded it through, and then there you go. Done. All right. Now I thought I'd just show you that you can just use plain old scrapbooking paper, and I've used a glue stick here to adhere that paper to the journal. I'm using this on the inside of the one that I used the napkin on the front. So yeah, just with the glue stick, stuck those down, and now you can use eyelets, set eyelets in your holes there. I've found that I prefer using eyelets whenever I punch holes that cording is going to go through, and it's going to put stress on that hole over time. So me personally, I would use eyelets. Wrong setting there. Now I'll show you again. I'm just double checking the length of that. So in through the top, back through the top, in through the bottom, back in through the bottom. Yeah. So you only have the cross section of the cord at the top and the bottom. And you've got the long sections inside where your signatures will go through, slip through. I think I show you a photo, I probably have already, of the little jewelry um, closure thingy that I used. See, how neat is that? It's fairly strong. fairly neat inside. I'd prefer to get those little clamps that you can put your two ends of your elastic cording in and clamp it shut. Anyway, I've just taken some old craft pattern paper and cut those down to 10 inches by 7¼ inches and scored it in half at 5 inches. And I'm just doing signature, 4-page signatures here. And you can actually put two of these signatures together. So the back of the front, the back half of the front, and the front half of the other one. And then just get an elastic band and join those two together like that. So that then will allow you to have 4 signatures in your journal. And then when you, so I've done the other one there. So then when you put them through the elastics there, there's one each for them. Just open it up where you've joined it there. There we go. And just slip that through. And do the same for the other one. Now you can use, yeah, so that's 16 pages. You could use 2 signatures of 8 pages. You could use 2 signatures of 6 pages, whatever you want. I don't think you could use any more than the 16 pages because, it all depends on how you're going to embellish your pages. They are going to grow. So here I'm just showing you how you can have 2 signatures, just the 2 in there if you wanted to. And now just adding 2 more pages. So that makes 6, 6, 12. And that's a good thickness, especially if you're going to be adding dimensional items on your pages. Here, adding some more to this one. I just think it's a brilliant way of creating a journal. I love the embellishing. There we go. All right, so now there's just photos showing you of what I've done, I've created. So thanks so much for watching, guys. And if you've got any questions about what I've done or any feedback on the voiceover, let me know in the comments below and I'll see what I can do. Thanks, guys. Bye.